Hello and welcome to this video introducing specific learning disabilities. This is designed for teachers and parents to gain an insight into the types of specific learning difficulties and how to identify them. Specific learning disabilities are high incidence, which means that 10 to 20% of students in a classroom will have a specific learning disability. This is different to the low incidence disabilities of intellectual impairment and a global developmental delay. It also means that the disabilities are specific to a particular area, even though that may have implications across the curriculum. Specific learning disabilities are of a neurological origin. Students will have them for life and they need to manage them. Learning difficulties are short-term or persistent problems in one or more areas. Currently, the term learning difference is preferred among many professionals because the students are not disabled as such, but just learn differently. There are a range of types of specific learning disabilities: dysgraphia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia or maths difficulties, language disorders, attention deficit, auditory processing difficulties, memory difficulties, and dyslexia. We'll start with the first one of dysgraphia. This is a difficulty with writing. It may be due to physical difficulties with holding a pencil and controlling the hand. It may also be to do with getting ideas from the mind down onto paper. Handwriting is very messy and it may be painful for the student to write. They have difficulties with speed. Their writing may be incredibly fast, they just want to get the job done, or it may be very slow. Dyspraxia is a learning disability affecting a child's ability to plan, sequence, and perform controlled movements. Motor dyspraxia occurs when the student may be clumsy and poorly coordinated. Verbal dyspraxia is a significant speech difficulty, making it hard for us to understand what the student is saying, and their speech is likely to be very delayed. Dyscalculia is a difficulty with maths. It's not related to IQ, motivation, or poor teaching. Students with dyscalculia have difficulty with the concept of a number, which is more, 10 or 3, and they don't have a concept of fiveness. What does 5 look like? What does it feel like? Language disorders, we have receptive language difficulty. That is where the student has difficulty understanding language that they are hearing. Expressive language disorders are where students have difficulty putting their thoughts into words and may have difficulty with speech. Pragmatics, in this area students have difficulty understanding day-to-day conversations, have difficulty interacting with others, and this of course has huge social implications. Attentional issues are probably the most commonly understood learning disabilities and most easy to notice. We have attention deficit disorder. Working memory and auditory processing will often be involved in that. With hyperactivity, students are constantly distracted by things around them. They have great difficulty sitting still and paying attention. We also have hypoactivity, the daydreamers, those that shut down and are not tuning in to what's happening in the classroom. Auditory processing difficulties. We have central auditory processing disorder. This is a disorder where students would have difficulty processing what they hear. Auditory processing difficulties have implications for reading, spelling, and general learning in the classroom, as well as social implications. Memory difficulties can affect the student in many ways. The short-term memory difficulty is where they may have forgotten an instruction from just a few minutes ago. Long-term memory difficulties, students may not remember what we did in the same lesson last week. And then we have working memory. Working memory refers to our ability to hold information in our head while we're going to use that information. So this is important when decoding words. Students need to be able to hold the sounds in their mind as they decode a word for long enough for them to blend those sounds together. So when decoding the word brunch, b, r, a, n, ch, They need to be able to hold all of those sounds for long enough to blend the word successfully, brunch. Working memory is also important when reading to allow the student to understand what they're reading, and also is important in maths. You need to hold the figures in your head for long enough to work out what process you're going to be doing and then to successfully complete that process. Dyslexia comes from the Greek dys, meaning difficulty, and lexis, meaning words, a difficulty with words. It is a neurologically based condition which is often hereditary. It results in problems with writing, spelling, reading, short-term memory, organization, and is not the result of poor teaching or poor parenting. The intelligence of dyslexics is usually typical. Auditory processing can be a factor. Visual processing difficulties can also be a factor. Working memory is usually significant as well. Dyslexic students are often very creative and very good verbally. The easiest way for a teacher to consider if a student may have dyslexia is to ask the question, if I read this to the student and asked them the question, would they be able to give a better answer verbally than if they had read the question themselves and written their own answer? If the answer to that question is yes, dyslexia should be considered. Here is a quote from Liz Dunoon. When your child started school, it was never their intention to struggle and fail, only to succeed and make you proud. What a great reminder this is to teachers and to parents of the importance of looking at why a student is struggling. There is an answer, we need to find it. Parents need to be the ones who advocate for their children. Early intervention is always the best intervention. If you are at all concerned about your child's progress, speak to the class teacher and the learning support teacher. Remember, however, that the teacher may have a number of students with much greater difficulties than your own child has. This is not to be an excuse, however, for getting help. Find out what assessments the school has done, and if necessary, seek an assessment at SpLD Queensland. We can do an academic or psychometric assessment, which will highlight your child's strengths, weaknesses, identify how they learn best, and give you a great action plan as to what to do next. There is much information available. Keep looking to find out why your child is struggling and find the solutions to help them. It might be that some assistive technology would be helpful, or your child may benefit from some private tutoring to go back to basics. Thank you for watching this video. We hope that this has been helpful to you, and we invite you to see our website for further information, speld.org.au. Thank you.